to I want to say thank you to our LandTrust team to be here tonight, and also our landowner Darin for being here, and all of you as well for taking the time to learn more about LandTrust. We're hoping that this evening is very productive for everyone. So without further ado, we have Darin on the call. He is a landowner from Nebraska. His listing with LandTrust is called Oakview Ranch, and he is a hunterman, fisherman, hiker, skier. He loves the outdoors, and we are excited to have him here. We also have Colton. He's part of our LandTrust Success team, and I think I saw maybe Monty is on the call as well, and he's another one from our customer success team. So we have lots of resources there. And then John Hansen is with us as well, and John is a landowner himself from Nebraska, and has experience of working with adaptive management and alternative sources for revenue for landowners. And so we are excited to have him here as well. Darin, do you want to give us any more background information about who you are as a land trust or as a landowner? It doesn't need to be anything specific, but do you have anything else you'd want to add to what I said?
And, I think you covered it for the most part. We're a third generation landowner up in Northeast Nebraska. And we had started trying to look for, back years and years ago, ways to do extra income. We had our own sawmill. We had a lot of hardwood trees. And so we built the first cabin back in the 90s, started doing a little bit of part-time guiding people here and there, kind of just, we referred to it like a trapper's shack kind of cabin. And then as our business grew, and even with my kids, they got bigger and able to help start guiding, we just were looking for something to be able to make extra income. Northeast Nebraska, our taxes up there are just absurd. I mean, we are some of the highest taxes anywhere around, definitely of any of our neighboring states. And so, you can't do nothing about the taxes. We don't catch enough rains to be able to do a lot of really great crops. And so the one thing we do have is really good land for hunting and fishing. And so we were looking around trying to figure out what else to do. We started, again, renting the cabin slowly. That business grew and grew. My wife's minor through college was food service. And so she didn't mind doing the food and the cooking with some of our hunters or our bigger groups. The thing that we were needing was we needed a bigger platform, because we needed to be able to branch out besides just a one cabin. And so then we had a really old barn, and we basically turned it into a 7-year kind of a money pit, but it did turn out really nice. But that gave us a base where we could handle bigger groups. And so for us, we were kind of still only guiding part-time, but yet we still want to be able to access a bigger group of people. We did a few farm and home shows here in Nebraska. They have some outdoor type shows, and you met a lot of people, but you really had to sort through a lot of people who were just stopping by talking to find customers that were really wanting to give me go that next level and book a hunt with you. And so when we had a chance to hear about LandTrust a little over a year ago, it seemed like it was something that was worth trying. Got a chance to meet Nick one-on-one, and sure enough, we gave it a try. And so far, we've only been with it about a year, but we're excited about how it's going so far.
Great. Thank you so much for all of that. It's great to hear that and put it into perspective a little bit. So as you mentioned, you were previously already working with recreators and welcoming them onto your land. So how has working with LandTrust made that experience different for you?
Well, first off, obviously the audience has been so much bigger, broader base. A lot of our people that were here was either repeat customers or a version of a repeat customer. 2 or 3 guys would come, and then maybe the next year 2 of those guys would come, and then a third friend would come. And so and we had done a little bit with Facebook. We had done a little bit with the website, but most of it, and we were not looking to get really big. We were looking for doing more on the quality, not really necessarily a high quantity number. And so our thought was, well, maybe we can appeal to a little bit a higher audience than maybe just your occasional guy who is only wanting to drive 50 miles to come do a hunt. And so for us, it definitely opened up a whole new, I just this year, and I'm sure you guys have access to my records, but I would say we've probably had, just on the turkey hunting side, which is a side that we were looking at bringing groups in for, we've probably been someone that 18 to 20 people have actually reached out, contacted us, said, hey, here's some dates, here's how many people we're looking for. And so yeah, it takes a little bit of jockeying back and forth to find dates that work for them, dates that work for us, dates that don't overlap. A lot of people love coming out in the first, second, or third weekend. So trying to find guys that are willing to come not in those first couple weekends. And we didn't want to try to have multiple groups coming in and, worried about people tripping over each other. And so there's a little bit of a learning curve, but so far really been excited about the amount of interest we've had.
Yeah, that's great. So to kind of step back from there, prior to signing up or publishing your listing and going live with LandTrust, what were some of your concerns with LandTrust going into it?
Obviously anything new, us, in the farming ranching world are always suspicious of change. And so doing it differently was a little nervous. I was probably also originally concerned, would we lose too much control? But obviously where we still reserve the right to, and I'm sure, I don't know if you guys have ever thought this way before, and I've never done online dating. I've been married 25 years and stuff, but in a lot of ways, I look at the online service, I envision that's a lot like what the dating service people are doing, trying to match people who have similar interests with similar ways of saying, this is how a hunt should look, or this is how the outdoors experience should be. And so you gotta sort through those people to try to find, early on, we had several groups that were wanting to do more running and gunning. We were a little bit more used to setting in more in the blinds. And so we kind of had to adjust ourselves to say, if this is what they're comfortable with, they know it's harder, but that's what they would rather do. That's their style of hunting. So it's no different than a person sitting in a whitetail deer stand versus a mule deer hunter that's used to walking the canyon edges. That's hard for them to want to just sit in a deer stand. And so we had to adjust a little bit and say, well, if that's what they want to do, all we can do is say, hey, we've got a lot of really good pop-up blinds, some permanent deer blinds that are on field edges. We kill a lot of turkeys out of them, but when you're with the group we've got booked through you guys already, we've told them, hey, we'll meet you, we'll show you the blinds that we've used, we'll show you our food plots and our field edges, and then step back and let them do their thing.
So it sounds like maybe you mentioned control going into it was kind of a concern, and also maybe the flexibility. And are these still concerns for you?
A little bit. Obviously, every group, businesses are done between people on an individual basis. And so at the end of the day, we know we have a great ranch with a really neat story and a phenomenal hunting. And so with the groups that we've got, so far we had a couple of our existing groups doing our repeat hunts. And then with the group that we booked through you guys coming in, at the end of the day, as long as they have a good, safe hunt, I know they're going to see birds. We know the birds are there. How they do necessarily with the running and gunning, and they're actually going to try to do some filming, which will be an added challenge. But that's stuff that they accept. If there's some of the people that can truly go, hey, you did your part, you provide the land, the accommodations were what we asked and said for, that you guys would provide for us. The birds are here, the land is there, there's nobody else currently out there spooking them at the time. I think obviously at the end of the day, as long as they're happy with it, we're not worried about being there to control every step. We hope that as long as they have a good time, and it's tougher the way they're going to want to choose to hunt with the run and gun method. But if that's what they want to do, it's not for me to sit back and say, well, if they're not going to sit in this blind like I want them to, then I won't let them do it. So we figured, and there's a little bit with especially turkeys. The majority of your turkeys people harvest are only 2 to 3 years old. It's very rare to have a bird more than 3. And so we figured, even if this particular group does get really aggressive and maybe they do spook some birds off the property and stuff, we're going to try to allow it to be down for a week before we bring another group back in. And a couple of groups that have called with you guys, we've made it very clear that we got a group that's literally hunting Monday through Wednesday. They are running and gunning. And if you guys are still wanting to come out and hunt the land afterward, we'll give you camera photos on the food plots of what we have for birds, that are still in the areas. And then it's up to the next group to decide how they want to hunt them.
Great. And what problems has LandTrust helped you solve as a landowner?
The number one thing that LandTrust did for me was just opening up, again, 18, 19 people that we would have had no way of knowing being a farmer in Northeast Nebraska. And again, we had no interest in trying to go, because again, we're not big. Yeah, we take out 3 to 4 turkey hunting groups a year, a couple deer hunting groups a year, but it's not neither one of my brothers or my primary job. And so for us, we like doing it on the side. But this is helping pay taxes. It's helping us be able to put in, add more 4-wheelers to the ranch, add more food plots for the deers down the road, those kind of things. And so obviously them just flat out, the number one thing is getting people for us. That's what we just never had, because again, 18, 19 people since January inquiring about the hunts. Those were 18 or 19 people that we would have never found running ads in the local paper or, trying to do something on Facebook.
And what have you learned about being successful at offering your ranch for recreation?
When you get the right group, it's a lot of fun. We've been lucky enough. A lot of the majority of our customers are repeat customers. On the deer hunting side, that's actually down to where it's only basically it's standing standing room type only to even get access to come in and do a deer hunt. And if we have a hunting client that maybe is just, we always tell everybody, you try not to judge people. Everybody has their own rights to what's a good, exciting party. I'll give you one example. There was a group out of Florida that really enjoyed their drinking. Hey, I'm a Bohemian. I don't have a problem with people having a drink after they're done hunting, but these guys were really big about coming in midday and wanting to start pounding a few beers back. And so, having to tell them, hey guys, this isn't quite, we would rather not have you do, save your drinking for when it's done, just because you don't want to be up 20 feet up in a deer stand trying to draw a bow back or shoot a rifle and stuff. And so I think, I know there is definitely, there was a pop-up that came up about the liability side. I know that was a thing that was a little comfort. Again, when we tightly leased the land and we were actually with the guys, a lot of them were at least a 2-on-1. We never had really any worry about somebody causing damage to anything. But I know obviously you guys have we do carry a separate liability policy. We do have our clients sign a waiver saying, if you fall out of the stand, if you get sunburned, it's not our fault. It's out the outdoors. But at the end of the day, I think the extra liability of having 2 of us involved, both with your liability company and our insurance through the ranch, we have a separate commercial, I'm going to call it like a renter liability, because we are a commercial hunting operation.
And can you tell us, have you faced any hiccups while working with LandTrust?
We haven't. Our first group really is just coming in this year. We were late starting last year before we actually got signed up, and so we were actually toward the end of the season. And so this turkey season was really the first big one coming. And obviously we sorted through a few groups, was kind of maybe looking for the right group. And then when the one group come on that we thought, well, they're willing to try the run and gunning without wanting us to be there actually physically trying to guide them, we thought it was worth trying. And so far we have not had any hiccups.
Great. What would you tell a friend about working with LandTrust?
For us, it was an easy fit because obviously we already had taken the step of sharing the ranch with other people and making income from it. And it was also rewarding for me because you can only shoot so many medium deer and so many turkeys before you really, I don't want to say it ever gets old, but the challenge is definitely diminishes as you get older. And so now, and I did it with all of getting my kids on hunting and fishing. And so now helping other people get their deer and turkeys and just experience a great hunt, that kind of becomes the fulfilling part of it from my end anyway.
Okay, great. Those are all of the questions that I had prepared for Darin, but if any of our joining landowners have further questions, they can speak up now or enter it into the chat box. I did want to just have Colton chat with us for a little bit about Colton or John about the insurance that LandTrust carries and what that looks like for landowners.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to touch on that. So LandTrust attacks it from, quite a few avenues. Liability is probably the biggest concern that our potential landowner partners will reach out to us about. And so we want to make sure that we're, as much of a partner as we can be on that front. So first and foremost, everyone that is a guest on the website, they agree to our terms of service, which states, hey, I hold the landowner harmless. Now we know nowadays you can sue a ham sandwich. So on top of that, we provide coverage for all the guests that are going out. So, somebody steps in a gopher hole, what happens there? Our insurance steps in on that front. On the other side is going to be your property protection policy. So number one question there is, what happens if somebody shoots one of my cows? You come to us and our insurance takes care of that for you. And then on top of that, we also have a $1 million kind of aggretainment liability rider as well. But as you heard Darin mention, he has his policy as well, and that's another thing we partner with Farm Bureau through Montana, Nebraska, and Kansas right now. Our CEO is actually out in North Dakota visiting with them out there, just because we found that Farm Bureau is a great addition as another partner in this business and helping provide even further insurance coverage for all types of aggretainment, as they call it. So everything from, apple orchards, hay rides to hunting, fishing, horseback riding, ATV riding, all that sort of stuff. So really just a nice fit there. And for us, obviously we're still a young company, but that liability is extremely important to us. And we will just continue to expand on that and continue to enhance that coverage and that policy that we offer to our partners as we continue to grow.
Thanks so much, Colton. So we have a question for Darin. What was the pricing for hunts process like for you? How did you pick your price to charge the visiting recreators?
Yeah, so for us, obviously, everybody's got access to internet, everybody's got access to Facebook. And so a lot of what we were doing was over the years, obviously we had started out, again, we've been doing it for probably close to 30 years. And so over the years, we had an original starting point. I'm sure it was not a lot of money. And then of course, as you get more and more access to the internet, you start comparing and saying, how do I stack up? At the end of the day, you're going, what can I provide people? And then, you look around a little bit on, again, we, right or wrong, we just you start out with the internet going, okay, at the average, we kind of took an average of, we looked at like 20 some different outfitting businesses. We looked at what they provided. And then there's a lot of different twists you got to add to it. Some people, they're going to allow people to shoot two birds. We'd rather have people just shoot one of them. And tell them, like, it doesn't make it twice as good shooting a two birds, so we do a one bird hunt. But then of course our rate was lower than like a lot of places that allowed a second bird hunt. Then you also take in consideration, do I have a pretty good operation? Do we have a lot of birds? Do we have a lot of land to cover to where these guys can really truly get out and have a good hunt? You're the smaller the operations. I mean, when you look up, and there's everything you can imagine available for hunters out there. And so you got to ask yourself, where do I stack in and where's my value point? And I guess that's what we looked at is when we were sitting there thinking, and maybe a little bit, because it just goes back to, I'm going to say maybe common sense. You look at what they're trying to, are they going to be able to sleep on the property and then get up and start hunting right away, or do they go drive? I mean, I know there's a lot of outfitting businesses that, there's people who put people up in hotels. Well, is it still a good warm place to sleep? Absolutely. Is that the same experience as sleeping in a cabin or in a literally 100-year-old barn that's been converted into a lodge? Maybe not. And so I think, you kind of sit there on your price points and stuff. And I think too, they always said, if you have too good of a product, you'll know it because you won't be able to keep it on the shelves anymore. Obviously that was something for us. We come out with what we thought was a fair price point. And yet, obviously we've had a lot of interest. And so, obviously by next year, if we have to turn around and if we have to start to the point where we're not quite there, but literally we could very easily be having to turn groups down like we are with the deer hunt, then you got to ask yourself, well, do I want to raise the money, and is it about the money, or do we simply go with the repeat customers that we know and are that kind of know the lay of the land and that have proven themselves?
Yeah. So I see everyone's questions, but I'm going to jump to the latest one just because it's kind of on topic. So Darin, when people pay for access to your land, in your experience, are they more or less respectful than people who are granted access without paying?
Yeah, that's a big question. And really that it's hard to put a handle on it because, we've all been around a lot of public land slobs, and that's a horrible experience. A lot of our deer hunting clients that actually paid for the rifle deer hunting buck client, they may bring a wife or child back out and do a doe hunt that if we got excess does that we're wanting to thin out, and we may only charge them a standard like $150 cleaning fee that when that group comes out and stays at the lodge or cabin, so we're not even making money. We're just wanting them to come out and enjoy the experience. And so I think the majority of the people, especially, again, we've been guiding for a long time. The one part I guess I would say, and maybe I'm gonna get a little off topic, but I do want to touch on it a little bit. So my brother's an anesthesiast in Omaha, and so he runs with a little bit of a different crowd than maybe a lot of us farmer ranchers are. And at one time we started going down the route of the really, I'm going to call them the ultra white client, the white collar client, I should say. And I'll be honest, they didn't fit my mold, and so after a few times we were alternating groups. And so we had a bunch of blue collar people who would save up for 2 years to come and do a hunt. And then we had these guys that were talking about having $100,000 landscaping bill and being disgruntled about it. And so we kind of realized that you got to be true to yourself. And I mean, we're a blue collar ranch farm, 4-H FFA livestock showing family. We love the outdoors. And we realized that, I'd rather maybe back the price point down a little bit and try to appeal to a bigger, maybe a little more blue collar group that I think are maybe a little bit more respectful than maybe the guys that have just, they're used to getting their way, and they're used to doing everything. People jump when they say jump because they're, again, high-end white collar clients. And so maybe I don't think I danced around this question, but all in all, I think that, if you can find the people, and you got to do a lot of conversations. Obviously my personality traits, I'm a talker, and a lot of the conversations I had with LandTrust, if you guys look at my profile, or I should say my profile, but if you look at what the conversations I had, there's not a single person on there that hasn't had 4 to 5 back and forth comments on. And I think you just got to be honest with what are they looking for and what are they looking for? Because again, you can't throw a bunch of people who are, ultra conservative with a bunch of ultra liberals and think that you're going to have a great mix of people who are going, oh yeah, this is the ultimate. No, it's not. Each of them have their own version of what the ultimate is. So I would think though that, yeah, people are paying for it. They maybe expect more, but we try to be as honest as we can. I mean, everybody that has ever even through the LandTrust, I give them my cell phone number and I'm like, call me. Let's talk about what do you call a great hunt? How important is the kill to you versus the experience? And so I think if you work through those details, I think you'll find people that are going to be the best fit for your business.
Yeah. So how do you feel like, I mean, you kind of touched on this, but how do you feel like the communication with sportsmen and recreators has gone for you? Do you feel like it's enough, too much, just the right amount? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's the right amount. I mean, obviously, some of the guys, they call and they'll talk and we'll talk for 20 minutes, and other people have got some really quick pointed questions, and they just, a couple guys were like, well, without a second bird, it's a long way for us to travel. We'd probably rather try to maybe pay a little bit more, but find another business that has another bird option and stuff. So, you can sort through the people pretty quick. It's what their needs are. I see one of your questions that just popped up, the last one about the process of a client securing a tag. This is something that's really, really crazy about Nebraska versus a lot of your mountain states. Nebraska, because 90% of our land is private land and 100% of what we're hunting is private land, there is no tag issue. You can take the only tag issue we ever have to do is, like, the state of Nebraska gives away 3,200 deer permits for our 3-county area. And they don't really sell out. It's more or less on a just buy it when you want. Turkey hunts are definitely the same way. You can buy up to 2 or 3 tags. They're unlimited. So that's the nice thing and there's a lot of states like that in Nebraska. But I know that was one of the things Nick had talked about he liked about Nebraska really early on, was there's no application process. There's no waiting period. Literally from the moment our tags go on sale about the first part of March, somebody books a hunt, we'll walk them through the tag purchasing process, but it's literally more of a 5 minutes on the computer, boom, hit your tag, and they got their tag purchased.
Yeah, Colton, do you have any more to add to that for other states other than Nebraska?
Yeah, definitely. So very different story up here in Montana, as Darin is aware. So all non-residents, even for a general tag, have to apply in March, which, historically has been a little bit of a difficulty, right, for some of our landowner partners. And they'll ask us, hey, what do you think? What should we do here? And we historically kind of deferred to the landowner and said, well, what do you feel comfortable with? If you want to accept it now, that's fine, because the landowner has final say to decline or cancel any booking after it's been accepted. But a new program that we're rolling out right now, actually, that we are doing just because we want to ensure that our producer partners are generating, helpful revenue throughout the year, is tag insurance. So what LandTrust is doing is we're promising you as the landowner and the sportsman, hey, for the sportsman, go ahead and book your hunt now. And if you don't draw, that's fine. You can cancel your hunt, but we guarantee that money and those dollars to the landowner. So if somebody books now for Montana, and then in just about a month they find out they didn't draw, not a problem. That person can cancel, and we guarantee the landowner that money. It's theirs. We guarantee we will fill that slot for them. So
Colton, also, can you clarify, is the insurance coverage primary or secondary?
Yeah. So those first 2 aspects that I mentioned, the property damage for the landowner and the guest coverage, those are both going to be primary. And then that backstop policy that I mentioned as well, that's going to be our secondary policy.
And Colton, what is the price difference on hunting if you can or can't provide housing?
Yeah. So this one fluctuates. We see a difference in, obviously, your single day fee, if you want to break it down to that, just because there's a nightly fee usually added, right, for folks that are staying in the lodging. It fluctuates because there's on LandTrust, there's folks who do, an old ranch hand cabin that just has a wood burning stove and a well out back. And then we have other folks that'll do, meals and all that sort of stuff for you. So there's a lot of range there. It is, definitely something that will bump up your revenue if you have it available. It also, we tend to see it extend bookings a bit longer. So instead of, maybe a 2 or a 3 day booking from a group, you're going to see maybe a 5 day or 7 day booking, or requests for those kind of extended durations. So it is a little bit, can be a little bit exponential there in terms of revenue for you. But by no means is it a requirement. We have probably over half of our listings on the site don't offer, the full lodge and that type of service, and still do very well. So yeah, it's kind of a long roundabout answer, and I'm more than happy to dive into that a little bit more, specific to your operation as well, if you'd like.
Yeah, Colton, that kind of follows up with another question of topic. If a landowner is struggling to place an accurate and fair value on what they are offering, is that something that LandTrust can help with?
100%. Yeah, we're more than happy to help. That's what we're here for. And so, you can give us a call anytime, shoot us a text, shoot us an email, and we're happy to help that way. We can also, depending on which state you're in, we have landowner success managers that are happy to come out and visit in person, and kind of take a look with you and give you an estimate based on, the data that we've seen and the numbers that we've collected over the past couple of years on what folks are willing to pay and what might work out for you and your operation's specific goals.
And Colton, another one for you. Have you had clients use LandTrust as a method of bringing the next generation onto the operation? Actually, sorry, this might be more for Darin, but what have these results looked like? Either could answer this question.
I guess I'll take a stab at that one real quick.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on where your business is at and where you want to go. And again, you have to be true to your size. That's probably been the biggest thing. My advice to anyone is don't try to be something you're not. And it's like in our operation, this was never going to be a primary, we're going to make $1 million and buy a new pickup every year with all the money we're going to make. And so for us, my son is actually the one that helped. As my youngest son is one of my main guides. We do have an Alaska guide fly down to help us with some of our deer hunting and so forth. But all in all, it's part of my kids are already doing it. And what's funny is my kids, even though they were born in, they never was around the ranch growing up, but they have been doing livestock showing for a lot of years. They're not going to be farmers and ranchers. In fact, my oldest daughter's a nurse. My middle son graduates from college and with more or less a biology degree. And my youngest son is definitely looking at doing nursing and or anesthesia afterward. So none of them will go back, but all three of them come back and help make, because there's a lot of work with guiding. You're doing, like in our business where we do turkey and deer, and we do a little bit of cabin rentals, 2 or 3 cabin rentals a year, a couple lodge rentals a year. You're always up there doing stuff. You've always got somebody needing to come back to cut firewood. You're always putting food plots in. You're putting up new deer stands. You're cutting new shooting lanes. And so, it's funny because I was a born and raised farm kid. So we were up there chasing cattle and putting up hay. My kids, when they think of ranch work now, it's, hey, we got to go get on the Caterpillar and go shear another couple shooting lanes today. So, it doesn't look like I envisioned it would look, but it definitely gets them back up to the ranches on their weekends off. And that's their connection to my granddad's ranch now.
Yeah, and I know kind of on the flip side of that, a lot of our landowners have also, from the recreation side, they have given special pricing for youth hunting. And, if it's a dad who wants to bring out their son for their first hunt, and so kind of bringing in that sense, the next generation onto the ranch, or into the operation. I know it's coming from the recreator side, but it also is bringing that next generation and showing them what ranch life is like, and giving them a really great experience too. So it's kind of coming from both sides of the marketplace. Colton, do you have anything else you would add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we have seen it be, a revenue source that allows, the next generation, maybe they just graduated college and, them coming home to the farmer ranch means another mouth to feed there. And so we have seen, some of our landowner partners are able to manage that and not be overly stressed out about having another family move back onto the ranch because they're making some revenue from recreation and just a little bit of less stressful And it's something that, it creates a new job on the ranch sometimes too, depending on how involved folks want to be. So yeah.
Okay, so kind of moving on to a slightly different topic. Does anyone have feedback on other offerings besides hunting? So Darin, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have only hosted hunters on your land, is that correct?
Through you guys, we've done the turkey hunts. We run probably 3 to 4 groups a year that go out with our original cabin. And then we also have a couple of groups a year that rent the whole lodge out. And so we've had, and we got some private ponds on the ranch that have little John boats on them and little paddle boats, and people can go in kayaks. They go fishing and kayaking and set stuff in. We haven't seen as much of that with through LandTrust, I guess, as people asking about that part of it yet. But then again, I guess obviously if you look at our pictures and stuff, we posted a lot more of the deer and where they were staying and the turkeys. And so maybe part of that is a self-fulfilling prophecy that we haven't actively pursued that. And part of it is, let's be real, Nebraska is not known for this great kayaking type of places. So, we don't have the same mystique as, oh yeah, we're going to go and, go hit the boundary waters and go kayaking or canoeing up in there. And so maybe that's a little bit of it too.
Yeah. Colton, do you mind giving us kind of a rundown of how and fishing and farm and ranch activities?
Yeah, definitely. So the capability is there on the site to offer all those types of outdoor recreation. For us at LandTrust, we definitely started with the hunting and fishing side. We knew that world coming into it, and we had a good feeling that we could help with some of the issues, some of the blockers that Darin mentioned, and struggles in his day-to-day with that current operation. And from there, we really have found that, even if you're in Nebraska, that there's folks that may be looking for bird watching. That's probably, I think, out of all of our states that we have landowner partners in, we've had the most bird watching bookings in Nebraska. And those folks, from talking with landowners that have hosted that sort of thing, are super, super low impact, extremely caring and respectful. And that's, something we're excited about and excited to expand on, as well as, things like farm and ranch experiences and going back to, bringing the next generation on the guest side and recreator side, especially. That's something we're really excited about is bringing folks back in to see how production agriculture works. And so it is something that's new, and we don't have a ton of, landowner feedback for you there yet, but we're very confident that, in 3-4 months, you ask us that same question, we'll have a lot of different answers for you.
Thanks, Colton. It looks like those are all the questions that we've had in the chat box. So if anyone else has anything else to add, please feel free to. Colton, I want to ask you one more question about the sportsman verification and ID verification. What does that look like?
Yeah.
How does a sportsman sign up for LandTrust, and what do we do to make sure that they are respecting the landowner and the land?
Yeah, definitely. So it gets kind of lumped in with that insurance side of things as well, for sure. Every guest, before they can send a booking request to you, they have to ID verify. So they upload a copy of their driver's license that we then verify. And then they also pay 100% upfront with credit card. So, those two elements have been extremely effective, probably more so than, even the insurance side, or, folks having to talk back and forth to try and weed out if, this is a bad apple or whatever it may be, just because those two elements, we're really asking folks to put some skin in the game on the recreator side, because, our landowner partners are the ones that are opening up their homes. So yeah, that's an extremely useful side that has been very, very effective on the platform thus far.
Colton, if I can add on that, one thing about it, you really hit that's really maybe one of the best parts about it that there is that they do have the skin in the game. So I'll use our Nebraska 9-day rifle season. We literally have a 9-day hunt. And so again, I mentioned we book one group of rifle deer hunters a year. And over the years, I mentioned a lot of our clients were friends and they'd become really good friends. And it become really tough because some of them guys, when they're 6th or 7th or 8th hunt, all of a sudden life happens. And with them not having skin in the game, it was really easy. I mean, I could go on for a long time about, oh, I'm getting divorced. My business partner cheated me out of money and I got to go to court to try to solve it. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, there's some real ones. COVID was a big one. We lost a lot of clients when Nebraska actually shut down our selling of turkey tags during the opening of COVID 2 years ago. So yeah, some of it is legitimate, but that was the one part about it that we really liked is, when you book one group in like we did, and then all of a sudden 1 or 2 of them members of that group started reneging because they're repeat customers, but they didn't have no money down. It makes it a lot easier of, well, shoot, maybe I should just stay home and take care of, whatever the issue is. And so that's probably one of the most appealing things to me is, yeah, the group is booked, the money's down. They may still have to cancel, but at least they got as most motivation that they're ever going to have to show up. So that is a pretty neat, great benefit that you guys do offer.
Great. What has the success looked like on the front of just offering farmer ranch tours? Is this something that many people offer through LandTrust? Colton, do you want to take a stab at this? Otherwise I can if.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. I would say, thus far it's been a little slower for the folks that are offering maybe just farm and ranch activities, which is something that we saw with even the folks that were offering hunting right when we were getting started. It's kind of a new adventure and a new journey on that front, but we have seen it start to, tick up just a little bit in some of our operations that really have unique offerings on that front. Yeah, Elena, I don't know if you have anything to add in there, if it's the same or.
Yeah, you kind of touched on it. It's definitely what we're working on expanding right now. And so we've been seeing traffic come through a little bit more and pick up. But like Colton said, it's new to everyone. And so the idea for our landowners as well as the idea to recreators is kind of fresh. And we are still kind of, growing there, but we're excited for that. So someone asked, what does it cost to list on LandTrust? Colton?
Yeah, it's 100% free to sign up and get started. Even, a visit from our landowner success managers or multiple visits from those folks. It's all free. We just take a percentage of every transaction. So every booking, we just take our 15% and direct deposit the other 85% directly into your account of choosing. So, and you're not locked in. It's not a 5-year or a 10-year program, anything like that. Completely customizable to close it, reopen it, make any adjustments to what you might offer. But yeah, completely free to sign up and get started.
Great. So those are kind of all the questions that we've had, and those are all the questions I can think of. Darin, Colton, John, any of you have anything you want to add?
I feel like I've been hogging the mic. We got to hear from John Hanson a little bit here.
Well,
John.
I was just trying to figure out how to chat and shoot you a something to talk about. But I think one of the things that comes up most, like at trade shows and visiting with people, is how hard is it to get a listing going? Do I have to be a techie whiz, and I mean, I could probably get that question from more of the people my age than say yours, not to, categorize everybody, but, uh, and I tell them it's flat easy. I mean, they've got it down. Monty's on the call. He does a ton of this stuff compared to even when I started in July. It's so much easier now for a landowner to build a listing than it was, it's easier now than it was then by far. You guys have got the process down. You might want to talk about that, or maybe Monty does.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of jump in for sure. So me and another member on the team will actually help every landowner build a listing. So essentially, after a landowner success manager goes out and visits you, if we have the boots on the ground in the area and we can, we'll kind of, on their visit, they'll basically fill out a form that gets a bunch of information about the property. That form then gets sent back to HQ up here in Bozeman. And me and the other team members will actually completely build that listing for you in a draft. And then we'll schedule an onboarding meeting with you, go over that listing. If everything looks great, we'll show you how to publish it. And then we'll kind of show you how to work through these different inquiries or transactions that you may see with Sportsman.
John, do you have anything else to add to that?
Well, no, I guess one of the things that I would suggest is the power of photography in the listings for any landowner that wants to start a listing. Photographs are absolutely essential to have good quality and the right type to help showcase your place. And usually the first 2 or 3 photographs, and I'm going off of what I see when I look through the listings every so often, the first 2 or 3 photographs is what'll catch my attention, whether I want to keep going and looking deeper into what they have. So really paying attention to good photos. A lot of people have some great ones in their place, but don't hesitate to go out and take some new ones. And that's part of our landowner success managers' jobs too, is to help make sure the photography is there. And then a good description. People like a story to go with what you're offering. And so the better your story, and if you can reach back a few generations, that sparks it up even more.
Yeah, so to reiterate what John was saying is that we have a team of landowner success managers who are, their job is to come out to the ranch and visit with you if you want, and they can take photos and they can chat with you and answer more questions and also help you write a listing description. So we have found that the hands-on approach is really beneficial to everyone, and just meeting people face to face really helps a lot. So landowner success managers are there for that. We had a question about anyone sharing some income numbers from their experience, and I don't know if we can legally release exact numbers, but we did have a couple of landowners last year make over $10,000 in earnings, and then our average booking value was just under $1,000. So on average, one booking would be $1,000. And some people, they did one booking in the whole year, and some people did 20 bookings in a year. And so it really varies from there. But yeah, it seems like those might be all the questions. Thanks again, everyone, for taking the time this evening to chat with us and ask the questions and provide feedback. Darin, we really appreciate you joining us this evening and taking the time out of your night to share your story. And if anyone has further questions, they can reach out at any time. Like Susie mentioned at the beginning of the hour, this has been recorded, and so we are planning to send it out in case you missed something in the middle of the call, or you want to share it with a friend. It'll be sent out via email in just a couple days. And again, if you have any other questions, just feel free to reach out to us, and we're here to chat more. And hopefully, if you're interested, we'd love to work on getting a listing live with you. And yeah, thanks again.
Can I add one thing, Elena?
Yeah.
Since Elena and I work on marketing for LandTrust, I just wanted to add it might actually be a great time to sign on because we are doing a large marketing push towards the site. And so if you're listed, you'll get greater exposure because we are doing some strong investment there.
Absolutely. And it's right, we're leading into turkey season also. And so lots of bookings are being made right now for spring turkey hunting. And beyond that too, people are already looking at fall deer hunting, or if you're in Montana, elk hunting. And so it's getting into busy season. Well, thanks again, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your evening, and we hope to hear from you all soon.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks, Darin.
You bet.
Thanks all.